Good afternoon and welcome to an afternoon update. Today is October the 10th, 2024, and there are 5 key stories that I think are extremely valuable to understand. Some very positive, good news for Ukraine. Others we must pay attention to in the overall scheme as what is happening globally in regard to Ukraine and the war in Ukraine. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to spend a few minutes with me, liking, commenting, subscribing, put the bell on. You never know when a video or a live is going to drop, and share it with your neighbors. Guys, let's jump right into the 5 stories. Some really good news right here coming in from the United Kingdom. Britain, now this is not a hope and a dream. Britain, by the end of 2024, which, guys, is now less than 3 months away, will provide Ukraine with more AS-90 artillery systems, according to the defense minister of Ukraine, Umarov. It's going to happen. Great Britain also confirming it. And additionally, Britain saying we have some good news coming on an additional supply of long-range weapons and robotic systems and their potential upcoming deliveries. So this is good news. What we need, though, in addition to the supply, is also that international coalition and support, which I know the UK is fully behind, for Ukraine to begin to strike deeper into sovereign Russian territory to push back the pressure of those airplanes and those glide bombs that are devastating on the front lines and the cities of Ukraine. We'll be talking about one of those cities in just a moment. It is a key part of our update. Additionally, Ukraine coming out today, October the 10th, 2024, giving an update. Why today? Because, my friends, today marks the 1-year anniversary of the beginning of the offensive from Russia against the city of Avdiivka. Of course, we watched that with keen interest for months and months and months, and it was a brutal battle. Ukraine doing a phenomenal job holding on to the city for as long as possible, but at the end, Avdiivka fell and is now under Russian control. To this point in 2024, these 9 months, a little bit of the 10th month, Russia has gained 1,500 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory. That's a fact. Now, 1 year from the offensive on Avdiivka, this is where we find ourselves. And if you are wondering, well, how much territory does Ukraine hold inside Russia in the Kursk region? That is 1,100 square kilometers of territory. So we see that Ukraine actually has gobbled up a good chunk of territory there in the Kursk region. But over this year, Russia grabbing 1,500 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory on their offensive. Of course, with the falling of Avdiivka, it opened the doorway for other areas to receive pressure, such as what we are following now, the cities of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, Kharkova. And overall, to be quite honest, even with the fall of Avdiivka and the intermittent supply to Ukraine throughout this year, 2024, they have done a remarkable job holding the line the way they have. Now, what about the cost of this territory that Russia has gained, the 1,500 square kilometers? What is that costing them? The cost? 386,630 killed and wounded Russian soldiers. 4,423 Russian tanks. And I remind you, these numbers coming out today, October the 10th, 2024. 17,431 various motor vehicles, jeeps, cars, whatever it may be, from the Russian army. 54 Russian airplanes and 12 Russian helicopters. That has been the initial cost, and this information coming in from Ukraine today, for this advancement of 1,500 square kilometers. Every analyst, anybody with any common sense, you do not even need any military training at all to understand that this attrition rate is unsustainable. And analysts who are trained to look at this are looking into 2025, saying this is absolutely unsustainable, and there will be a shortage of human and technical resources. Now, how will Russia counteract that? We'll talk more about that in just a moment. North Korea. North Korea likely deployed, and I know this story's been bouncing around for a couple of days, but today I have some further information and I would like to share it with you. North Korea likely deployed engineering troops alongside the Russian troops in Ukraine, assisting in the firing of North Korean missiles, the KN-23s. This was at first hearsay. This was at first rumors, but now it is being reported on multiple outlets for a couple of days now. And additionally, it has been confirmed by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Now, if you want to know about North Korea, the best place to look is not in Ukraine, not in the United States, not even in Russia, and quite honestly, not even in Pyongyang in North Korea. If you want to learn about North Korea, the best place to look is actually in Seoul, South Korea. Of course, they have the most intelligence, the most experience, and the most understanding. South Korean Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun said during the parliamentary hearings that the DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, we refer to them as North Korea, led by their dictator ruler, Kim Jong-un, aka Rocket Boy, will probably send now here's what we need to pay attention to because it's South Korea saying it. North Korea will likely send additional troops to assist Russia in the Ukrainian war. Why? We are now getting confirmation that on October the 3rd, 1 week ago, as a result of a high precision strike, 6 officers from the North Korean army, as well as 14 Russian soldiers were killed. Ukraine struck a missile launching station there in eastern Ukraine. 6 North Korean soldiers were killed. Now Seoul is conjecturing that we will see an additional supply of standard North Korean soldiers, not just technical analyst engineering troops. Seoul additionally suggests the possibility of sending more North Korean troops to Ukraine would be in accordance with their military treaty with the Russian Federation. So I remind everyone, when you want to learn about North Korea, your best source will always be South Korea. Pay attention to South Korean news. Zaporizhia, the 4th key story today. My dear friends, please pay attention to Zaporizhia. You may be here tonight and you say, okay, Greg, I know about that city. We talk about it all the time. I hear you guys talking about it, but can you remind me where it is on the Ukrainian map and maybe a couple of things about Zaporizhia? Sure, I'll be happy to. Here is the standard front line we all know. This is Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. This is Karakova. This is where Ugledar just fell. Pokrovsk is right here, this whole area. And I'm zoomed out on purpose because I want you to see this is the city of Zaporizhia right there. Zaporizhia, a large city, metro population over 1 million. It is still basically fully populated, although there has been some movement out of it over the last 2 or 3 weeks due to the increase in shelling, into the increase in artillery that is trying to be launched that way from these southern lines down here. They can sling them that far. It's not that far. And finally, and most importantly, glide bombs that are coming in to Zaporizhia. Now, why do we need to pay attention to Zaporizhia? If you want to know about Zaporizhia, then please listen to Ivan Fedorov. Ivan Fedorov is the regional governor of the Zaporizhia Oblast. Who is this guy? Ivan Fedorov was initially, at the beginning of the war, the mayor of Melitopol. Ivan Fedorov was kidnapped and returned. This guy supports, of course, Ukraine, but he understands deeply what is happening. He is from the Zaporizhia Oblast, the mayor of Melitopol, and now the governor of the Zaporizhia Oblast region. This is his information, and this is who you listen to in regard to Zaporizhia. More than 70% of the Zaporizhia region or oblast is currently under the occupation of the Russian Federation, directly according to Ivan Fedorov. Think about that, 70%, large oblast. In the last 2 weeks, In Zaporizhia city proper, over 1,000 structures were destroyed or damaged, and 15,000 units of civilian infrastructure have been destroyed in the Ukrainian-held portions of the oblast. This information coming directly from Ivan Fedorov, when he is saying that 1,000 structures in the city proper were damaged or destroyed, and 15,000 units of civilian infrastructure have been destroyed in the Ukrainian-held portions of the oblast, which is 30% of the entire oblast. We need to start paying attention. With the fall of Ugledar, the pressure on Pokrovsk, and now the increased strikes into Zaporizhia, we know, of course, Russia cannot take Zaporizhia right now. They cannot even take it tomorrow or in the near or projected future. But what they can do is do what they are doing to Kherson and Kharkiv, and they can just bomb it, put it under siege. That is why it is so important that further air defense, that Ukraine is allowed to strike inside Russian sovereign territory, at least to push back those airplanes that are flying, that are dropping these glide bombs on, for example, today, Zaporizhia city. We must pay attention to Zaporizhia. I can tell you personally, from many days and nights in the city, in the region, the atmosphere there is changing quickly. I know this is hard to hear being so close to the red lines, but for the most part, Zaporizhia was peaceful up until about 3 weeks ago. And now we are starting to hear from people like Ivan Fedorov about it, and we need to pay attention. The fifth final big story today that I want to share with you is Putin meeting the CIS, Commonwealth of Independent States leaders in Moscow. Of course, this has been a meeting that's scheduled. I'm sure if you were following this, you have seen reports about it, talking about it, or you probably ignored it because you don't want to hear anything that Putin and the CIS has to say. Fair enough. But I do have one thing I want to share with you, and it is a statement from Lukashenko. Lukashenko, the dictator president of Belarus. Today, he made a statement that, to be quite honest, is disgusting. I'm going to play a clip of it, 20 or 30 seconds, where he speaks and he puts Belarusians, Ukrainians, and Russians into that same root system, being the same people. This is the propaganda narrative. It is now not just Putin pushing it, or Lavrov, or Peskov, or the talking heads there like Semyon and Solovyov. This is the president of Belarus now repeating the same narrative. We're the same people. We're from the same root, the same tree. We're only strong together. Forget me talking about it. Here he is.
Values intertwined with countless human bonds. We Belarusians, Ukrainians, Russians share common roots. Our tree grows from one source, our key achievement, preserving our foundation. Today, it's the basis for our vast cooperative potential. We have the groundwork on which we can build even deeper ties between our nations.
What is interesting here is, first of all, you get to see Vladimir Putin standing there in all of his demented glory as Lukashenko talks the same talking points that he pushes all the time. We're the same people, the same root, the same tree. But you know what's interesting? There's no Ukrainians there. So the Belarusian and the Russian can stand there and just talk about Ukrainian as a third party. We're the same people. We're the same ones. We're from the same tree. We are only strong and can achieve great things together. That's the same story. That is the story we're fighting against. But once again, this validates the disdain, the hatred, the lack of care, the lack of understanding that Ukrainians are a free and sovereign people. They are a free and sovereign nation that has been invaded. and is trying to be wiped off the face of this planet. Today, you heard Lukashenko. This is the talk that is nonstop, and this is what we stand against, and this is what we fight for. So there you have it, guys. The 5 key stories today, October the 10th, 2024. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for liking. Drop a comment on the video. It helps us so much. First of all, we just like to read your comments and reply to what we can. But additionally, it helps with our algorithm to grow us more so that we can help Ukraine more. Thank you for subscribing, turning the notification bell on, and sharing it with others. You guys have a blessed day, October the 10th, 2024.